Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Rogers Center. The roof was just pulled back about half an hour ago. It had been closed all afternoon as there was rain in the area. This is game 2 of the 4-game series with the Kansas City Royals. Ned Yost in his 6th season managing the Kansas City Royals. Of course, they are the reigning American League champs, and they have an 8-game lead in the AL Central. Take a look at their lineup tonight. Top of the order is the shortstop, Alcides Escobar. He's an everyday player. He has faced Drew Hutchison 6 times. He's got 4 hits. He's got a pair of doubles and 2 RBIs. And Eric Hosmer, he extended his hit streak to 12 straight games last night. Look at the numbers. He's hitting .500 over his last 12 games with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. He's really turned into a premier player.
And it's a tough lineup that Drew Hutchison will face tonight as he gets ready for his 21st start of the season. He's 9-2. Those 9 wins rank him tied for 14th in the American League. He's faced the Royals twice in his career, including his debut start back in 2012.
And there is the newest Blue Jay popping out of the tunnel. That is David Price. And doesn't he look good in a Blue Jays uniform? And look at that smile. It tells you all you need to know about what he thinks about being in Toronto. And he gets to say hi to some of the guys he hasn't seen just yet. And he says hello to DeMarlo Hale and Pete Walker, of course. And Pete Walker's got to be thrilled. He's got a new ace. David Price joining the Blue Jays for his first game here tonight. This is Alcides Escobar. Hutchison is set. Here's the first pitch of the game. It's in there for a strike, and we are underway. 28 degrees here at Rogers Center. It's cooled off a little compared to the last couple of days. Breaking ball for strike 2. David Price absolutely loves baseball, and I believe he loves the fact that he's in a pennant race again back in the AL East. He knows these surroundings well. Changeup. Donaldson at third. Just in time. Escobar's retired, 1 down. Defensively, the Blue Jays have gotten a lot better recently. In the outfield, it's Carrera, Pilar, and Bautista from left to right. On the infield, Donaldson and Tulowitzki, they man the left side. Goins and Smoke man the right side. And you talk about an infield, that's a terrific infield defense. Russell Martin and Drew Hutchison make up the battery tonight.
Blue Jays put Devin Travis on the disabled list today, so Ryan Goins is going to get a chance right here. 15-day disabled list for Devin Travis. Ryan, who has had 30 starts at second base, will be the guy for the Blue Jays. This is his chance to really establish himself as a big leaguer.
No pressure at all. Just go out there and do your thing. Moustakas with a ball and the strike, the Royals' third baseman. Mike Moustakas, one of these homegrown Royals. He's 26 years old. He was the 2nd overall pick in 2007. That's fouled into the seats down the left side.
You know, one of the things that the Royals have done so well, they were so bad for so long, and so they had high draft picks. They have cashed in on those draft picks. We're not going to see Alex Gordon in this series, but you talk about Hosmer and Moustakas. Everyday players who are original draft picks developed in their farm system.
They've done a terrific job of taking advantage of those opportunities. Lorenzo Cain was picked up in a trade. Alex Gordon was out hitting today off of a tee. He's coming back from a groin injury. Moustakas rips it into the seats. But Moustakas was a terrific two-way athlete in California. He was a football player, big quarterback, and a lot of people thought he might choose football over baseball, but the Royals drafted him 2nd overall, and that was too tempting. Hosmer, he too was drafted in the 1st round in 2008, a year later.
Wasn't he 3rd overall?
Breaking ball, fouled off.
You get those high draft picks. I think Alex Gordon was 2nd overall also. So that's just because they were so bad for so long, but they have turned that around.
They were cellar dwellers for sure, and they had an opportunity to turn their fortunes around, and they have done it. Hutchison's a very good athlete. He knocks it down, recovers, and throws out Moustakas. 2 up, 2 down. Well, the Blue Jays have been busy, and today they were able to pull off a couple of deals. They've added to their bullpen with Mark Lowe and added to their outfield with Ben Revere.
Well, they get a power arm in Mark Lowe to put down in that bullpen. You can see the strikeouts per innings pitch. And Ben Revere is a very underrated player. Batting average just under 300, 24 stolen bases. Players with a .290 batting average over the last 4 seasons: Miggy Cabrera, McCutchen, Andrew McCutchen Posey, and Ben Revere. That's it. Over the last 4 seasons with a batting average of .290 or higher. So a very underrated player.
And David Price was acquired yesterday, but he made his debut here and acknowledging somebody across the diamond. Ball and a strike to the center fielder, Lorenzo Cain. Cain's having a terrific season, and he was a late bloomer. He didn't even play baseball until the last couple of years in high school, and then picked it up. And boy, has he turned into a good player. He's 29 years old, so it took him a little while to develop.
You know, we talk about trades here at the trade deadline. Kansas City got a heck of a trade.
That ball is lined in the gap. Bautista is going to turn and run it down. It'll go off the wall in right center. Cain breezes around the bases and stops at second with a 2-out double.
They got Lorenzo Cain from Milwaukee. He's a starter in the All-Star game at center field. They also got the starting shortstop in the American League All-Star game for Zach Greinke. This is a fastball from Hutchison. That one is right where Cain likes it, down. Good low ball hitter, and he's very aggressive. He is a good-looking player.
He sure is. He very reminiscent of a guy that used to wear number 6 in center field for Kansas City, Willie Wilson. He's got the same kind of strides in the outfield, and he has done a terrific job of moving into that 3rd spot in the lineup, batting ahead of Eric Hosmer. Hosmer, we mentioned his 12-game hit streak. Cain is taking off. Russell Martin's throw. What a play by Donaldson. Oh, he cut in front of the base runner knowing the throw was going to be late. And then he snared the short hopper and he saved Russell Martin. And you can see Russell's appreciative of that effort.
Yeah, that was going to be a run for the Kansas City Royals. You could see Donaldson, he was playing way off the line because of the shift against Hosmer. Recognizing that he was going to make that play, Cain was going to steal that base. He's got to get in front there and try and knock that ball down.
Number 19 for Cain. Now they put the pickoff play on immediately. Donaldson will do that. He doesn't care what the situation is. If he senses a base runner is getting too far off the bag, he'll sneak in behind him.
Look how far off the bag he is. How far he had to come on that play.
2-0 to Hosmer. Now 3-0. Kendrys Morales is on deck. Pretty good protection for Hosmer. You've got the leading RBI bat behind you.
11 home runs, 55 RBIs. This is like last night's ball game. 2 quick outs, and then Royals struck for 2.
Changeup on a 3-0 pitch. Martin blocks it in the dirt. So they get a fresh count to start over with, and this is exactly like last night. Kendrys Morales up at the plate with 2 aboard, and he delivered a 2-run double. 70 RBIs on the season for Morales. That gives him the lead in the American League. He's 1 ahead of Josh Donaldson and Chris Davis of the Orioles, and they're 1 ahead of Bautista. 2 outs, 2 on. Fair ball just over the bag down the left field line. Cain jogs in to score. Hosmer is stopped at 3rd as Morales does it again in the 1st inning, picks up the RBI with 2 outs.
He leads this team, Kendrys Morales, in multi-RBI games. He's had 20 of them already this season. He's not going to waste any time with runners on base. Slicing that ball right over the corner of the bag. Fair down the left field line. First pitch from Drew Hutchison, a pitch that is up. And a good RBI man can hit the ball all over the field.
Morales, now 32 years old, was signed as a free agent by Kansas City last December. Second and third now. Ben Zobrist, the left fielder. Off the plate inside for a ball. Zobrist was a pickup by the Royals. They traded for him from the Oakland A's. He played his first game last night for Kansas City. Good pickup. Ned Yost was talking about Zobrist and suggested, as you did, Pat, last night, that it's like getting three players.
Three players that can play different positions. He can play second. He can play shortstop. He can play the outfield.
He gets jammed. That's going to get through. Hosmer's in to score. Bautista's throw is on the way to home, and Morales will be tagged out. Oh, he called him safe. Morales came up short of the tag. Martin got the ball in plenty of time. Angel Hernandez, the home plate umpire, must have felt like there was no tag. But you can bet they'll look at this one.
Yeah, from up here, it looked like there was some contact from Morales at the plate with Russell Martin. Here comes the throw. He's going to stop short. Now, is there contact? Yeah, it looked like he tagged him right on the foot.
Morales waves himself safe. Watch the glove. Is there ever any contact? None there. And then Morales kind of goes around him, but I don't think he tagged him. It looked like he swiped at his left foot.
I thought it got him on the right foot, right in the calf area. Watch when he goes back.
I don't think he tagged him. Morales kind of stuck in the dirt short of home plate, and that threw off the timing for Martin. His momentum took him away from Morales, and he is going to be safe. A 3-run top half of the first.
Wow.
Interesting start.
Very interesting slide right there. You think for some there'd be some kind of collision at the plate, but on that replay, Blue Jays are not going to challenge.
No contact at all. This is the catcher, Sal Perez. And I don't think Morales had designs of that slide. It just came up short because he stuck in the dirt, popped up. He drives in a run and scores one. Kansas City with 3 runs on 3 hits. Again, all with 2 outs.
2 very quick outs in the inning, and then that dangerous middle of the lineup, Kane and Hosmer, Morales, and now Zobrist. It's very, very good. This team is second in the American League in hitting. They might not have a lot of power, but they can hit.
Popped up. That's going to be out of play.
Marco Estrada had a 28-pitch first inning yesterday, a very long first inning, but he settled down. Ended up pitching into the 6th inning, would not give up any more runs, and I think that's what Drew's got to do tonight.
There goes Zobrist. He takes off. The throw from Martin is not in time. Ryan Goins pointed immediately to the dugout. He felt like he tagged Zobrist before he got the second. The throw was a bit high. Zobrist got a good break at first, and he steals second.
And that was a quick tag by Goins at second base. One more time. See him straddle second base. Zobrist is coming right down to him.
Boy, that's pretty close.
Yep, it's going to be very close.
His fingers are in the air, still not on contact when he swipes the hand. I think they could turn this over. I don't think he made contact when Goins tags him right there. He wasn't on the base.
We're going to take a look at it. Watch how quickly Ryan catches that high throw and how fast he gets that ball down. And if the tag is there, I'm not sure if the fingers had gotten down on the bag yet.
So we'll wait while they go to the review. The crew chief, Angel Hernandez, is there with Jim Wolf, who made the call at second. Goins there. You can see his glove making contact with Zobrist before the hand hit second base. Drew Hutchison, he's given up 3 runs on 3 hits here in the first. A couple of conversations going on with a former AL East rival, Ben Zobrist. Spent a lot of time with Tampa Bay. Here's the play once again. Umpire's in great position to make the call.
Yeah, it just determines, when was he tagged. Not Goins did a great job. He dropped down to one knee to make it a little bit faster to swipe tag him. And on that slow motion replay, it's going to be close.
Yeah, and the length of the review suggests how close it is. Obviously, the longer it takes, the different angles they're going to look at. Martin's throw just a little bit high, but because Goins got there so quickly, he was able to make the tag from that high throw. He was stationed right there at second. He got to the bag in good shape. For Zobrist, his second stolen base of the season, and now they're going to call him out. So the play on the field is overturned. Zobrist is thrown out by Russell Martin. That's the 20th base runner he's thrown out this season. But the Royals have a 3-0 lead. Three runs before they ever step to the plate tonight. Top of the order, Troy Tulowitzki. He's the shortstop and batting leadoff tonight for John Gibbons. He knows Johnny Cueto. In fact, he faced Cueto in Cueto's last start when he pitched for the Reds. It was against Tulowitzki and the Rockies. 3 for 13, 2 extra base hits, and an RBI. And how about Russell Martin's hit streak? He's doing some damage with those 5 hits, 4 extra base hits, and 2 RBIs for the Blue Jays catcher.
And they're going to need all of those tonight because they're in tough against Johnny Cueto. He was acquired by the Royals on Sunday from the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for 3 minor leaguers. He makes his 3rd career start versus the Blue Jays and his first here at Rogers Center. How has he been against the American League East? I think that's always a great testament. He has posted a 2.91 ERA in 8 career starts versus the American League East, going 4-2 against those teams. He is a good one.
Johnny Cueto is 29 years old. He's spent his entire career with the Cincinnati Reds. Reds signed him as an amateur free agent in 2004, and he will be a free agent at the end of this season. Cueto doesn't overpower as he once did as a youngster. Made his debut at 22 years old in 2008 with Cincinnati. Tulowitzki gets jammed. Escobar bare hands and makes a nice play. Alcides Escobar takes that little roller and throws out Tulowitzki. Kansas City's defense, they've been charged with 58 errors this season. Newcomer Ben Zobrist is in left. Lorenzo Cain can go get him in center. The former Blue Jay Alex Rios is in right. Mike Moustakas and Alcides Escobar on the left side. Infante and Hosmer on the right side. And the catcher is the Gold Glover Sal Perez.
And there's a good one over there. That defense is outstanding. Hosmer is the Rawlings Gold Glove winner the last 2 seasons at first base in the American League. He's a big target. He's got quick feet and great hands. I tell you, when you're an infielder, it'd be nice to throw the ball over to first looking at that guy.
Donaldson gets jammed, rolls one to short. Chew up, chew down. Yeah, when you have infielders that have strong arms like Moustakas and Escobar from the left side, you need that big target at first, and Hosmer can really handle that glove. So Bautista will step in with 2 outs and nobody on. Johnny Cueto will mix up his delivery, and it really effectively changes the timing for the hitter.
And it's all about timing. He's very creative out on that mound. He'll do a full twist and look back at second base. So far in this first inning, he's been quick pitching the Blue Jays. There's the turn.
Another ground ball to short. Escobar throws out Bautista. Cueto has a good first inning as a Blue Jay. Took him just 6 pitches to retire the side in order.
They actually had to postpone his press conference. One of his former teammates in Tampa, now a member of the Kansas City Royals, Ben Zobrist, who actually was a deadline acquisition of the Royals himself. He said, look, what you're getting in Price, top of the league starter, not just top of the rotation, but more than just his ability, a great clubhouse presence. But Buck, he doesn't understand all this talk about the popcorn. He said that wasn't an issue at all in Tampa.
Yeah, no, it's not an issue either here in Toronto. I asked John Gibbons about the popcorn on the bench. He goes, I like popcorn.
He's going to have some. We caught David a lot of times eating popcorn on the bench, and he loves the popcorn here at the ballpark.
He absolutely loves baseball. You could see he's into every pitch, sitting next to Tim Leeper, just getting to know the players and coaches. Says Sal Perez, and he rips it to left field. Perez was at the plate when Zobrist stole second in the first inning. Zobrist was called safe. The Blue Jays challenged the call. It was overturned. So Perez starts the second with a single. That's 4 hits against Hutchison so far. Alex Rios, former Blue Jay #1 pick. He was picked by the Jays in the first round in 1999, 19th pick overall. Spent 6 years in Toronto. He was an all-star 2 of those seasons in 2006 and 2007. He was a good player.
Yeah, very good player. Still a really good player, Rios. He could run. He was a good fielder. He had a good arm.
This ball is hit in the air to right. Bautista coming in quickly. He'll get there, and Rios is retired. One down.
I always felt like there might have been a little bit more in there from Alex, and he was an interesting guy. How he left the Blue Jays, they put him through waivers, and he was claimed. That's how he left Toronto.
Claimed by the White Sox, and he would go on to spend 5 years in Chicago. That was in August of 2009, and he was traded from the White Sox to Texas. Spent a couple of years in Texas. This is the second baseman, Omar Infante, batting ninth tonight. He goes after the first pitch. The Royals scored 3 runs off Hutchison after 2 were retired, and that's not unusual. Last night, Kansas City's 5 hits all came with 2 outs in their respective innings. And for the season, they lead the majors, batting .281 with 2 outs. So you better not slack off.
And the best guy at it? How about Lorenzo Cain, who started it all with 2 outs?
Batting .391 when there are 2 outs in an inning.
So you can't slack off when you get to 2 outs. They did it in last night's ball game in the first inning.
They'll stay on you. Another thing Kansas City does, they don't strike out. They're the only team in the major leagues that hasn't recorded 600 strikeouts. They have totaled just 587 strikeouts all season long.
So they put the ball in play and make you field against them.
Look out. Infante had to bail out in a hurry, up and in, and he hit the deck. Checking everything, see if it's all in place.
Fastball, you can see Hutch has had problems before like that, where the timing just isn't there, where he wants to go down and away instead of going out and finishing his pitches. It's almost like he's trying to guide it there and then lets go of it too soon, and then it's up and in on the right-handers.
Lorenzo Cain was hit by a pitch in last night's game in the first inning. That sparked that first inning rally. Kansas City has been hit by pitches more than any team in the American League. They've been hit 54 times. They hang in there. They don't strike out. They don't get knocked off the plate. That's a foul ball. Pat, you know their approach offensively, battling with 2 outs, not striking out, running the bases first to third, plays very well in their ballpark.
Because it's so big. You know, they don't have a lot of power hitters, tons of power hitters, 25, 30 home run kind of guys. I think their approach, Buck, is a lot like the olden days, where you go up there and you get a good pitch to hit and then you go after it. You're aggressive.
Infante strikes out. Just after we were singing the praises of no strikeouts, first strikeout of the night.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Beautiful summer evening here in Toronto. We're just a few blocks away from Queens Quay Terminal on the shores of Lake Ontario. This is Escobar driving the ball deep, and that'll do it. They can lead off single from their catcher, but can't advance him off of first. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Blue Jays are down by 3 against Johnny Cueto.
Another installment of Junior J Saturdays presented by Boston Pizza goes tomorrow before the Blue Jays and the Royals at 1 o'clock. Join pregame outside Gate 10 for inflatables, activities, and lots of fun. And after the games, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. And Buck, they just put David Price's image up on the Jumbotron, and he got a standing ovation during the break.
Well, he sure did, and he broke out in a huge smile. That has to be a great feeling in your first appearance in a Blue Jays uniform, to be welcomed like that.
They know what he means.
Absolutely, they know what he means.
To the team, to the organization, to the city.
After the game, David Price will hold a live press conference. We'll have it for you, Sportsnet Central, so make sure you stay tuned to hear David's thoughts on coming to the Blue Jays. Second year in a row, Price has been traded at the July trade deadline. An all-star getting traded in back-to-back seasons, unprecedented. It's the first major league pitcher ever to be traded in 2 different seasons after making an all-star team that year. It happened to be back-to-back years for Price.
How about that? Somebody wants you.
2-2 pitch to Encarnacion. What does Cueto call that little move right there as he winds into that Louis Tiant delivery?
You know what he does? He tries to create something new every bullpen session, and this is called the rocking chair. You see, he hesitates and then he moves his shoulders a little bit. He named that the rocking chair.
How does that impact the hitter?
Well, the timing, it just throws him off, and it gives him something else to think about. You can see he hesitates. Louis Tiant was a great pitcher back in the day in the 60s and the 70s, where he would turn his back towards home plate and hesitate. And then he'll quick pitch you. Cueto has picked that up. And now he has added a little something extra to it with that little shuffle with his shoulders.
Angel Hernandez had granted Encarnacion time before Cueto was ready to deliver that pitch, and you can see him shaking his head.
You know, he's got more to him, though, than just, you know, those little tricks out on the mound to mess up your timing. He has total recall of how he pitched batters in the past and in the present. That's Dusty Baker was talking about him the other day.
Just popped up and playable into shallow right. Alex Rios comes in and makes the catch in fair territory. Well, Johnny Cueto has a career record of 92 and 63, and since 2011 he's got great company as far as the major league ERA leaders.
Check out the ERA leaders. Clayton Kershaw at 216 since 2011, and there's Johnny Cueto at 251, and then Chris Sale at 286. That is a very nice little company to keep right there for Johnny Cueto. He doesn't look intimidating on the mound. He just knows how to pitch. As the home plate umpire Angel Hernandez said, we need a better rosin bag.
Yeah, Cueto asked Hernandez if he could get a different rosin bag, and the Blue Jays obliged. Bat Boy just ran out a full rosin bag. Sometimes those will get a little bit thin. This is Justin Smoke wearing a different number than he started the season with. He's now at number 13 as he relinquished number 14 to the newcomer David Price.
Yeah, they've been giving up those numbers the last couple of days. Louis Rivera was telling me today that he's going to get a Rolex watch from Troy Tulowitzki and David Price. I asked Smokey what he wants. He says, I need a tractor. He just bought some land in South Carolina. He says, I need a tractor, so I'm going to ask David for a tractor, see what he says.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
No.
There's a good off-speed pitch, and Smoke strikes out. Cueto has retired 5 straight in his Royals debut.
You know, talking about Cueto, he's just not an intimidating guy out there, but he just knows how to pitch. He pitched for years for Dusty Baker in Cincinnati, and Dusty says he's got that total recall on how he pitched batters in the past and in the present. He's got that sixth sense in reading bats and understanding how he's going to have to get them out.
Dusty Baker had Cueto and Edinson Volquez in the same rotation in 2008, and they projected them to be long-term teammates, but it was just that one season. Volquez moved on.
You know, it's not about how hard I can throw the ball or where I can throw it. As you see Volquez, he will pitch here on Sunday. It's all of his pitches everywhere around the strike zone. He can throw it down, he can throw it up, in, out, change speeds. And if he needs a little bit more, you know, that extra 3 or 4 miles per hour, he can reach back when he needs that to get outs.
There's that abbreviated turn as he throws a strike with the fastball. He's got a great feel for pitching. He just understands how to add and subtract on all of his pitches. Just a little cutter off the end of the bat. Full count now to Russell Martin.
Yeah, you'll see the changeup, curveball, cutter, fastball, slider. He's got all of those, but when he can change speeds like that from different arm angles and throw off your time, it's almost like he's got 15 or 16 different types of pitches.
There's another changeup, and Martin strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts. 6 up, 6 down for Cueto to start the game.
Summer Friday Fan Festivals presented by Bacardi are back. The next one is Friday, August 14th, before the Blue Jays and the Yankees. A pregame festival will take place outside Gate 10, and gates will open at 4:30. There will also be a live performance by a special guest, Chad Brownlee, in the licensed area. Brownlee actually threw out the opening pitch today on another Summer Friday Fan Festival presented by Bacardi.
Well, you can see today's Fan Festival featured a Western theme. That lady taking on a mechanical bull outside Rogers Center. I didn't know they still made those things.
Neither did I. We'll have to go out there next time.
Oh, yeah. I'll wait for you here. This is Mike Moustakas, the third baseman. Slider, and he swings right through it. Popped into shallow center. Tulowitzki calling for it. The shortstop out into the outfield. He makes the catch. Drew Hutchison ran into some problems with 2 outs in the first, and that's the Kansas City MO. They are tough at the plate with 2 outs. They cashed in with a double, a walk, an RBI single, and a 2-run single by Ben Zobrist, capping off the 3-run inning.
Kansas City is obviously in a better place than they were a year ago at this time. I think they're an established team. I think they're a powerhouse. I think they're the best team in the American League right now. Last year at this time, on this date, July 31st, on the trade deadline, they were 55-52.
Smoke, he's got room over near the seats, and he makes the catch as Lorenzo Cain is retired. So that'll bring Eric Hosmer to the plates, but don't rest now. You got 2 outs, and you got one of the hottest hitters in baseball at the plate.
Eric Hosmer hits by location. This is during his hit streak. Everything all over the strike zone, even some outside the strike zone. Look at all the balls that are not in the strike zone that he's been able to hit and hit with authority. All kind of different types of pitches that he has been able to hit, and I think he's just going to get better and better.
During that hit streak, he's hitting an even .500. He walked and scored in his first at bat.
He could hit some wicked line drives too. I'll tell you, finish up that story where they were a year ago. This is about the time of the year last year where Kansas City got crazy. For 3 weeks they went on fire. They went 19-4 and really rolled into the playoffs.
That's all it takes. Baltimore did the same thing in the American League East. They ended up winning 96 games after being .500 late in the season.
Yeah, right around that 500 mark. And the reason I say that is I think the Blue Jays can do the same thing. They were right at 500 when they made those trades. They won yesterday. 3 weeks, play hard baseball and win games for 3 weeks, and you can take control of this division.
David Price will start on Monday, according to the manager. That one is slapped past Donaldson. Hosmer has extended his hit streak and another 2-out base hit for Kansas City. David Price, they thought he might start on Sunday, but they have moved R.A. Dickey up a day, and Price will begin his career on Monday afternoon against Minnesota. He has put up big numbers against the AL East for his career, 44-21 with a good ERA. And how do you like this move to hold him back until that start on Monday?
Well, Price really values his bullpen session, and he did not get a chance to do his bullpen today to be able to throw on Sunday, so he will throw tomorrow and then throw on Monday. What it does too by holding him back a day, I went back and looked at if they stayed on the rotation all the way through, he'll pitch 4 times against the Yankees the rest of the season instead of just 3 times. And you saw the great numbers that he has had against the American League East.
His only start against New York this season did not go well. While pitching for the Tigers, he went 2 1/3 and was charged with 8 earned runs on 10 hits. But overall, he has a 10-7 record against the Yankees. He's also 8-3 against the Twins, and that's who he'll face on Monday. Here's Kendrys Morales. He had a 2-out RBI single in the first. Now has 71 RBIs for the season, extending his lead in the American League. Morales has always been a good hitter. He's a switch hitter that came up with the Angels, made his debut in 2006. And you see the updated leaderboard in the American League. Morales, Donaldson, Chris Davis has had a recent surge, and then Jose Bautista. Blue Jays have 2 of the top 4 in the American League in RBIs.
Big-time power surge for Davis. I think to get Kendrys Morales, I think you have to throw some type of off-speed pitch. He is a good fastball hitter. He could wear out the changeup, so I think a good breaking ball like a slider or a curveball would be a good pitch to try and get him out with.
Morales really buckles down when he's got runners in scoring position. You saw the 67 RBIs when he's got a chance to cash in. 1-2. Popped him up. Goins going out. He calls for it. He gives way to Bautista, who called him off. And the Blue Jays are through the top half of the third. Kansas City stranding a base runner. Carrera, Pilar, and Goins, the bottom third of the lineup to face Johnny Cueto.
at Foxborough. Will Sebastian Giovinco play or not? Remains to be seen. He's dealing with that knock. TFC at New England tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern on Sportsnet 360.
The soccer league is really taking off as they're attracting more and more major players from the Premier League. Goins drops a bunt down. Moustakas bare hands and throws. Hosmer came off the bag as he had to extend for that high throw. And Kansas City might want to look at this one. Hosmer did a good job of stretching for it, and umpire at first base, Scott Berry, felt like Hosmer may have lost contact with the base.
They're milling around just a little bit as Don Wakamatsu checks with the replay. Told you about the big target over there at first base at Eric Hosmer at 6'4", and he had to use every one of those inches to go up there and get that one. Did he get down fast enough to get Carrera?
Carrera with a terrific bunt, and there's Hosmer. He's off the base, but does he come down before? Boy, it's bang bang. That's a tough one to overturn. We'll have a look at that now. They're back under the hood over there with the headsets on, in communication with New York. The Blue Jays had a call on the field overturned in the first. Zobrist was ruled safe on a stolen base attempt, and they had a look at it and overturned it. He beat it. He certainly looked like he beat it. The fans here agree. They just saw it on the Jumbotron.
I don't know if there's enough evidence to overturn it. I think that's what it's going to come down to. He was called safe. I mean, can you show me on that replay exactly that there's enough evidence to overturn it? I don't think so.
It's bang bang, that's for sure. I love the fact that the fans in the stadium can see the replays up on the Jumbotron. I just think that's a great asset for people in the ballpark. Here's another look at it. Carrera, watch his foot as it comes down. You know what? He would have done himself a big favor had he gone for the front edge of that base. He steps right in the middle of it, and he probably would have gained about 10-12 inches had he reached for that front edge. Now this one, like the first challenge, is taking a long time. What do you think, Pat?
I just don't know if there's enough evidence where the umpires can distinctly say, yeah, his foot was there before the base runner, to say out, to signal out. It's just so close. It almost looks like they hit it together. There's just not enough there to overturn it, but we'll see.
Well, isn't that in the rule book? Ties goes to the runner.
Then I guess the umpire got that one right, because that's what it certainly looks like to me.
Remember that when we used to have those pickup games in the sandlot, and that was part of the meeting at home plate. Okay, you can't hit it to left, and tie goes to the runner.
Tie goes to the runner. I love it. Haven't heard that one in a while.
Well, if you only had two outfielders, you had to make one field
an out.
Off limits, yeah. You hit it to left, you're out. David Price is in the house, and boy, doesn't he look good in a Blue Jays uniform. Price was a terrific young star with the Tampa Bay Rays, came up and had an impact in the 2008 postseason. Blue Jays picked him up in a deal with the Detroit Tigers at trade deadline. Boy, this has taken a long time. If you don't see enough to overturn it, just make the call. Say there's not enough there. Carrera is the first Blue Jay to reach base. He dropped down a beautiful bunt. Moustakas barehanded, threw high to first, and they're going to wave him safe. Angel Hernandez, the home plate umpire, is the crew chief. And he upholds the call on the field. It is confirmed by the review.
So they lose the challenge.
They lose the challenge. So now that's the first base runner. Cueto retired 6 straight to start the game. Kevin Pillar, 271 on the season, 7-38 for the center fielder. Talking to several of the Blue Jays around the cage today. about the activity and all the additions, and boy, they were all energized.
Every one of them down there. That's all they could talk about. It. You know what else I got from a lot of them is, hey, the ball's in our court now. You know, it's time to win ball games. No excuses now.
There's a strike on the outside corner, 2-1 to Pilar. Boy, you can see the focus on the Blue Jays bench. Everybody is locked into every pitch. David Price is standing up. He often does that. Burley behind him is standing up. There's a base hit to left. Carrera is at second. He'll stop there as Zobrist gets it back into the infield. First two base runners reach here in the third. A bunt single, and now Pilar gets a base hit.
Kevin Pilar muscles that ball into left field, and Price, he's a cheerleader when he is not pitching. And the Blue Jays have been very busy this week.
Boy, have they ever. They've turned over 20% of their roster. Tulowitzki and Hawkins. Hawkins was the first to report. He came right away. He was here on Tuesday. Then Price, Lowe, and Revere. And what a week Alex Anthopoulos has had. That hit him. Well, they're going to say it hit his bat. It cut her up and in, and Goins couldn't get out of the way. It'll be strike one to Brian Goins.
Cueto pushing him off the plate with that one right there. I think he was anticipating Goins bunting. I think all the Kansas City Royals think that he's going to be bunting. One more time. Cutter up.
0-2. Well, this is the interesting aspect of having Troy Tulowitzki hit in the leadoff spot. You got runners on. Bottom of the order for the Blue Jays. Done a terrific job all season long getting on base. And then you have a chance to have Tulowitzki bat with runners on. And when you're hitting in the first spot as opposed to the third spot in the lineup over the course of a season, it means about 55 to 60 extra at bats.
Yeah, and I'm of that thinking right there, that I would rather have my best hitters hitting at the top of the line because they're going to get extra at bats.
Goins hits it on the ground. It could be two. Infante, and what a slide by Pilar. Oh, he ensured that they wouldn't turn two. Pilar, with that good slide, disrupted the timing of the shortstop Escobar and wipes out any chance to turn two.
That's what you have to do. A ball right at Infante. Watch Pilar go right at the legs. Right there. And that's a legal slide. Just keep your feet down. Keep the cleats down so you don't spike them. And you can just slide right into the legs like that. Upset the timing. And Escobar cannot make the throw over to first base. And now instead of a double play, it's first and third and just one out.
And here's Tulowitzki batting with runners at the corners. Tulowitzki is 3 for 14 against Johnny Cueto in his career.
To finish that thought about the leadoff hitter, you want guys getting on base ahead of your best hitters. I love the thought of maybe 50 to 60 more at bats a year with your leadoff, your 1 and 2 hitters, and he'll have plenty of opportunities to drive in runs.
There's a high fly ball to right. Rios has got a good arm. Now he's coming in very shallow. Carrera will bluff down the line, and he will stay put at third as Tulowitzki pops out to right. Well, I'm old school, and I've always felt like that the best hitter should be in your third spot, but I think I've changed my mind now as the balance of this Blue Jays lineup is 1 through 9.
Yeah, back in the day it was like, oh, let's get some speed at the top and a good on-base percentage. I want good hitters at the top of my lineup, and they'll drive in their share of runs. Troy did it in his first game here as a Blue Jay.
Now Josh Donaldson will try to pick up Troy Tulowitzki. Donaldson has been terrific at home this season, batting .342 at Rogers Center. This is the beauty of this Blue Jays lineup. One swing of the bat erases a 3-run deficit.
Absolutely.
The Royals don't have that luxury.
You're always within striking distance when you've got home run hitters loading up. You're going to be in tough against a a good pitcher in Cueto. Runners on base, he doesn't give up anything.
2-1.
Tell you what, that was close, Buck, to being a balk. I mean, he does it quick pitching when there's nobody on. That last time he came up very quickly and went home.
Donaldson had a good rip. A little bit extra from the fastball there, 93 miles an hour. And Cueto working with Sal Perez for the first time. This would be a challenge in my mind for Perez because Cueto can do so many different things. But you can see they're communicating without saying anything. Come on, bring it. Don't even need a sign. There's a drive to left field. That's over Zobrist and off the wall. It bounces away. 2 runs are going to come in. Here's Gaunt's coming around third, and he's going to score without a throw. Right back in it.
Another clutch hit for Josh Donaldson. It looked like a changeup, and Cueto's not afraid to throw a changeup into right-handers. Josh Donaldson was all over that one. One swing in the back gets the Blue Jays right back in it. He's got extra base pop in that bat, and he can score Cohens from first base. Yep, that is a changeup, and it stays in the middle of the plate and on a line. Josh Donaldson hits it off the wall.
And you're not out of the woods yet. Jose Bautista, Donaldson, RBIs 70 and 71. He has just tied Kendrys Morales. David Price is thinking, man, these guys can hit.
I'm glad I don't have to face him anymore.
Well, he never had too much problem facing the Blue Jays for his career, 16-2. And he's never lost here at Rogers Center. Cueto looking back at Donaldson as if to suggest Donaldson might be sending signs to Bautista.
What, did you see how he put the ball in the glove? He put it in a changeup type of grip into his glove. And then pulled back and threw the fastball. Look at him looking
Cueto,
at Donaldson.
yeah, he's aware of Donaldson, the veteran at second. Said, okay, I got to protect my stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. If he's going to show you that changeup grip, and then Donaldson has a sign with Bautista, that's all fair game. 2-2 now to Bautista. 2 runs in. No matter if he's in the field or on the bases, Bautista and Donaldson, these veterans, they'll get in your head. Pop back out of play.
That's why they're veterans. They know how to play the game, and that's going to bring Sal Perez to the mound to talk to Johnny Cueto.
Now you got a young catcher, a 2-time Gold Glover, and a veteran pitcher. And chances are they won't give a sign for this next pitch with Donaldson spying on Cueto and his catcher. Well, they went through a series of signs. Isn't it interesting how pitchers can be distracted by such little things? Encarnacion is on deck.
And he picked something up, Cueto. As soon as he put the ball in his glove, he looked back at Donaldson, and he knew something was up.
And you know what? Donaldson will play along, even if he doesn't have anything. He'll make you think he's got something. Remember, we saw that with Tim Beckham when he was putting all the pickoff plays on here at Rogers Center on the last homestand. He was going through signals, picking his jersey, trying to get in the head of Beckham at third, and it finally worked.
And people say baseball's boring. Boy, they're crazy.
Bautista strikes out, but Johnny Cueto gives up a couple. Josh Donaldson delivers with 2 outs. Donaldson has been clutch all season long, and he gets the Blue Jays right back in this ball game with 1 swing of the bat. Carrera got it started. Bowen scores all the way from first. It's a 3-2 ball game.
Now in the Blue Jays dugout, he will have his press conference announcing the arrival immediately following tonight's game. We'll have it all for you on Sportsnet as our wall-to-wall trade deadline coverage continues. Buck?
Arash, David Price was in Baltimore with the Tigers. He flew back to Detroit, picked up some of his stuff in his car, and he was driving here, hopeful of getting here for a 3:30 press conference, but he had car trouble, had a flat tire, and that was delayed. He got here about 5:40, walked into the clubhouse and met his new teammates. This is Ben Zobrist. Taps it back to the mound. Hutchison fires to first. David Price on Twitter says Jenny got a busted lip, but she'll be fine. Things can always be worse. Find a positive in a negative situation. He's already upbeat, and here's Price as he walks into the ballpark about 5:40. Big smile on his face, and I happen to be walking out of the clubhouse, and David is a class act. And I thought immediately, I said, well, boy, this is a presence. Once again, the Blue Jays have an ace.
That was well timed. You look like the greeter right there in front of the clubhouse.
Yes, can I help you? Boy, it's a nice addition. All of these guys. How about Alex Anthopoulos in his 6th season? You and I had a talk with him early on, and he said, you know, it took me a while to understand how much character means to a winning effort. And when you look at the cast of characters he's brought in here, every one of them is a character guy. They come to work every single day with one thing on their mind: winning baseball games. And Alex said, early in my career, I thought talent was the only thing that mattered. And now I understand it's about 60-40 talent and character combined.
Because you can count on those guys day in and day out. Baseball is a long season. 162 games and maybe 30-something more in spring training. You're around the guys every single day, and it's tough. As that ball is hit to Tulowitzki.
Scooped by Smoke. No problem at all over at first for Smoke.
But you have to have teammates that you can count on, and that they come to the ballpark every single day. They're the same guy.
You know, that's a great point, because anybody can play when everything is going well. Anybody, you know, you're throwing the ball great, you're striking out guys, you're getting a lot of hits. Anybody can play like that. It's how you play when you're 0 for 25. And I think that's what character does. It separates you from the rest of the pack. Rios goes after the first pitch. Hutchison does just exactly what you want. His club scored 2 in the bottom of the 3rd. He needs 9 pitches to retire the side in order. He throws up a 0 in the 4th.
And this weekend, the first 20,000 fans on Sunday will receive a Blue Jays welcome mat of their own before the Blue Jays-Royals game. As part of the long weekend in the city, 20,000 welcome mats to be given away. For more details, hit up BlueJays.com.
Thank you very much, Rash. It'll be an interesting weekend as the civic holiday will be on Monday and the Twins will be in town. Johnny Cueto throws one up and into Encarnacion. Hutchison threw one up and into Infante in the 2nd inning. Encarnacion says, "I'll take a pitch." 1-1. Edwin hit a home run off of Cueto last year when these two teams faced each other in Cincinnati. Cueto won that game. He pitched 8 innings, allowed 3 runs, just 1 earned run on 7 hits, and the home run to Encarnacion. But it was quite a different lineup that Cueto was dealing with in that ball game in Cincinnati. There's a ball driven deep to right. Rios is back on the run. It's over his head, off the wall. Rios played it very well. Obviously, he knows this ballpark, and Encarnacion is held to a long single off Johnny Cueto.
Good to see his bat back in that lineup. When he missed a couple of games with a finger injury, drives that ball to right field. You see Cueto tries to quick pitch him, fastball away. And watch Rios, who spent a lot of years here with the Blue Jays, catch it on 1 hop, and then the throw. Also, he's thinking about 2 and then watches the throw right on target. And holds him to a single.
This is Justin Smoke. Smoke struck out his first time up. He was the first strikeout victim of Cueto. 3-2. Kansas City leads it. Inside. We mentioned the lineup Cueto beat last June 22nd in Cincinnati a year ago. Kawasaki played short and led off. Melky Cabrera was in left, then Bautista and Encarnacion. Rasmus, Laurie, Francisco, and Tolle. They're all gone, obviously. Totally different lineup he's dealing with tonight.
And Brett was gone in that game. Didn't he get hit by Cueto and break his hand?
Broke his hand. Reyes did not start in that game. He was hurt. Kawasaki was playing shortstop. But Reyes would have to come in and play after Laurie had to leave the game. Smoke strikes out, tried to check his swing, and went around 4 strikeouts for Cueto.
2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful evening in Toronto, and we got a heck of a ball game going. Johnny Cueto hooked up against the Blue Jays. Cueto has given up 2 runs on 4 hits. He has 4 strikeouts. Martin was a strikeout victim in the second. Russell Martin is 1 for 17 against Johnny Cueto. Hit his 15th home run last night. Ball on a strike to the Blue Jays catcher. This is popped into shallow center. Kane comes in quickly and makes the catch. 2 down. The Royals are perfectly suited in their outfield to play at home in Kauffman Stadium. They can really cover a lot of ground, and that's what it takes. Spacious alleys in Kansas City.
They've got great defenders all over the diamond. That's Ben Zobrist in left field, Kane in center, and Alex Rios in right field. No Alex Gordon. He's the Gold Glove winner in left field, so Zobrist will fill in while he is on the disabled list. But athletes all over the diamond.
This is Ezequiel Carrera, who started the rally in the third. He had a leadoff bunt up the third baseline. Strike 2. Cueto delivering 2 strikes.
He's so tough on left-handers because he's got such an arsenal that he can go inside. He can throw that changeup down and away. He can go up like that all over the place. Lefties are only hitting 173 against him.
Yeah, and he has really dominated those left-handers. He can cut the ball inside, sink it down and away, run it upstairs. Has a lot of weapons. That's a little flare, and that's going to go into left field. Carrera is 2 for 2. And Carnacion moves into scoring position.
Just trying to fight that ball off. And he gets enough wood on it to just get it by the third baseman. Fastball, you see, he just pushes it off of his body for a base hit.
So now Perez will go out to talk with Cueto. Last inning with Josh Donaldson at second, it looked like Perez and Cueto were concerned about Donaldson relaying location of the pitches to Bautista at the plate. And now Perez is out to make sure they protect their pitch selection. And all of this is above board. If you can relay location, if they're going to allow you to pick up location, you can tip off the hitter.
Sure. Or the sign, if you can get their signs at second base, whatever it takes.
Well, nowadays, because hitters look at so much video, all you got to do is sit down in front of a monitor and watch a sequence of pitches, and you could break down their signals in a hurry.
One thing, everyone's got to get a good secondary lead here. The outfield arms, they could really throw. That ball's off the plate. They can all throw. You can see the center fielder, Kane, is not that deep against Kevin Pillar.
Kane has 5 outfield assists. Rios in right has 3, and we have seen him throw well throughout his career. 1-1 to Pillar. Popped up back toward the screen. That'll be over the screen, out of play. Pillar is hitting right at his average in these situations. Runners in scoring position for the season, batting .272. In clutch situations, .274. Kevin has really matured as a hitter in his first full season in the big leagues. When he first got here, by his own admission, he said, I was trying to hit everything. I didn't want anything to go by.
Yeah, and you can't do that. You can't be chasing pitches all around the strike zone. You got to have a plan, and you got to stick to it.
Protects the inside corner with 2 strikes. We saw Pilar swing at balls that bounced in the left-handed hitter's batter's box when he first came up. He said, I'm going to show these guys I can really hit. And he hit throughout his minor league career. That was never a concern. Cueto wants another series of signs, but they'll talk it over. Remember, this is the first time Cueto has thrown to Salvador Perez, so you can understand that there might be some confusion.
Very understandable right here.
Pedro Gafal standing with his arms folded in the dugout. He is now the pitching coach. He was out with Perez yesterday down in the bullpen working on some blocking drills. 1-2, 2 outs. Pilar, base hit to left field. Zobrist is charging. They're waving at Donaldson home, and it's cut off. Blue Jays have tied it. Carrera's in a rundown now, and he will be tied out. But Kevin Pilar delivers with 2 outs. A solid single to left. Encarnacion waved home by Luis Rivera, and the Blue Jays have erased that early 3-run deficit. It's 3-3. Here's the pitch to Pilar, and Encarnacion got a good break. Rivera says, let's test the arm of Zobrist. Moustakas cuts it off, and the Blue Jays have tied it. Now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zorn. Here at Rogers Center in the first inning and fell behind, and you can see he's pitched very well at Rogers Center over his last 5 home starts.
That was odd, giving up those 3 runs, because he had been pitching like this. An ERA under 1, a batting average under 200, but these are the Kansas City Royals. One of the best teams, if not the best team in the American League.
Those starts: Chicago, Houston, the Mets, Texas, and Tampa Bay. For the season, Hutchison at home, 7-1 with a .221 earned run average. This is his 10th start here at home. Omar Infante, the second baseman, he's behind 0-2. Reaches for that slider and pops it into right. Bautista makes a sliding catch. Good job by Bautista. That's always a challenge for an outfielder. You see that big swing and the ball is hit off the end of the bat, and it just dies out there in shallow right.
He wasn't playing very deep, so he's able to come in and slide and catch the ball. Bautista is a good outfielder. Covers a lot of ground. Very heady, very intelligent in the outfield.
Bautista and Pilar are in constant conversation about their pitcher in how he's pitching to a particular batter. There's a ball into center. Pilar broke back, and that's going to cost him. Pilar took a couple of steps back. He thought the ball was hit harder than it was, and that little Texas leaguer falls in front of the center fielder.
All it takes is one step. Watch, Kevin, at the top of your screen. Take one step back. The infielders are yelling in. By then, it's too late. Escobar drops one in front of him, and that's going to get the bullpen going.
Left-hander is Aaron Loop. The right-hander is Bo Schultz. This bullpen has really been on a roll lately. All of a sudden, they have improved their position in the AL rankings along with the other bullpens. Of course, Kansas City in a class by themselves. Blue Jays relief corps now with a .336 earned run average. That's 6th in the American League. So Hutchison working with one out here in the 5th. It's a 3-3 game. Escobar 7 for 11 in stolen base attempts. Ben Zobrist was ruled out attempting to steal second in the first inning. He was initially called safe. Blue Jays challenged it, and they overturned the call on the field. Zobrist caught stealing by Russell Martin. It's interesting that the bullpen is up here in the 5th inning, but the bullpen has been dramatically improved over the last 3-4 weeks. The return of Aaron Sanchez has pushed everybody down a notch. And you get a sense that there are going to be certain nights when John Gibbons is going to go right to the bullpen.
Absolutely. We saw it in last night's game. There's the lowest whip bullpen in Major League Baseball. The Astros, the Royals, Blue Jays. Double barrel action. This is about the spot last night where he went to the bullpen for one batter. It was in the 6th inning. We're now in the 5th inning.
Brett Cecil came in to get an out to end the 6th. Moustakas fouls it into the seats. In case you're just joining us, the bullpen will get an additional arm in the next day or so. Mark Lowe will make his way here to Toronto, and we saw Lowe in Seattle. In the 2 games he pitched in that 3-game series, and he was lights out.
Yeah, he was scary. Scary fastball, slider, and just something else that John Gibbons can go to if he feels like it.
A ball and 2 strikes, 1 out.
Escobar is inching off just a little bit further each time. This is where Drew Hutchison would be wise to hold the ball just a little bit longer. Try to freeze Escobar over there at first base. Hold it a little bit longer before you go home.
Kansas City with 62 steals on the season. There he goes. Ball is popped in the air. They have to go back. Carrera, the left fielder, gets there, and Escobar retreats to first. Moustakas out on the fly ball to left. Two outs now, and here is Lorenzo Cain. You got to be wary of Cain, even though there are 2 outs. He had a 2-out double in the first. He was hit by a pitch with 2 outs in the first in last night's game and came around to score the first run of that game.
This is where they do most of their damage right here, this Kansas City team. They get tougher and tougher the more outs they have in an inning.
They lead the majors with a .281 average, batting with 2 outs in an inning. That's just a mindset. That's going up there and saying, you know what, we're going to grind this at bat. Ned Yost has really been proud of his young players on this team, how they have grown into champions. Ball on the strike. Kansas City scored their runs in the first. Blue Jays got 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Lorenzo Cain had a real coming out party in the postseason last year. He had .333 overall in the 3 series. He was 8 for 15 in the ALCS.
I think everybody knows about him now.
There goes Escobar. Martin's throw is on the money. What a throw! That time it was sidearm. Martin is a heck of an athlete. He really gets his feet moving very quickly. He caught the ball and threw it from the 3/4 position, and yet throws another strike. Goins waits on the throw. Escobar is tagged out. Caught for the 5th time this season.
Presented by the 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Beautiful shot of Toronto. We are moving to the bottom of the 5th. It's a 3-3 ball game. Brian Goins scored the 2nd run in the 3rd inning on Donaldson's 2-run double.
He got a board on a great slide by Pilar to break up that double play. Ryan hustled down to first base.
Johnny Cueto is pitching on an extra day's rest. Not unlike what David Price will be doing on Monday. You change teams, you get a little more acclimated with your new team. And Ned Yost said we just wanted to give Cueto a little bit more time to get settled in with the new ball club. This is going to reach the seats, and the Blue Jays feeling the same way about David Price.
Get your work in, get here, get acclimated with the team, get your work in the play, down in the bullpen, and get ready to play.
Well, David Price, he knows what he needs to do. He's a 5-time All-Star. Won the Cy Young in 2012 when he went 20-5. He made 202 starts in his career, and he's 95-55, 40 games over 500. 3-2 pitch. Owens chases a high fastball. 1 out. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Wei-Yin Chen out of the ball game early, charged with 6 runs on 10 hits and 3 1/3 for Baltimore. Buck Farmer pitching for the Tigers. He's allowed 1 unearned run over 4 innings. Troy Tulowitzki. Cueto gets the call. Borderline pitch down and away. Ball on the strike to Tulowitzki.
That little cutter is a very effective pitch. A hitter looking for that fastball.
Ground ball to Hopper to Moustakas. Tulowitzki is 0 for 3. Cueto continues to mix up his windup. He'll abbreviate the windup on one pitch, then he'll turn his back on the hitter the next pitch, and then he'll get into that little rocking chair delivery to take even longer time.
And the one thing he does, as Donaldson gets ready, Dave Island, the pitching coach, was talking the other day. The one thing he does, he separates his hands out of his glove in the same spot every time, and that keeps him on target so that arm can get up and come through nicely. Allows him to command all those different pitches and different variations. Island says that it tells me that he has tremendous body awareness. And he does. He can do all those gyrations and everything, but he's got to be able to take that ball out of the glove on time.
That cutter misses. 3-0 to Donaldson. He had a 2-run 2-out double in the third. That got the Blue Jays back within striking distance. They have since tied it up. Donaldson with the green light. Kendrys Morales and Josh Donaldson tied atop the American League, each with 71 RBIs. Chris Davis of the Orioles, Jose Bautista 69 and 68 respectively. Donaldson takes a close one inside. That's the first walk issued by Johnny Cueto. Comes with 2 outs here in the 5th. Puts Donaldson aboard for Jose Bautista. Bautista is 0 for 2. He struck out to end the third with Donaldson at second base. Breaking ball off the end of the bat into the seats. Coming into this game, Bautista has been struggling at the plate, batting just 175 over his last 31 games.
Teams are throwing him a lot of breaking balls, a lot of curveballs, a lot of changeups. That ball just off the plate. They're slowing things down. And that's what you want to do when you've got a guy who's got that quick of a bat. And Jose Bautista has a quick bat. You want to take the sting out of it by slowing everything down. Slow curveballs, changeups.
Another changeup misses. 2-1. Cueto wants the new baseball. Bautista has one of the best eyes in the game. He is a big home run hitter and a power hitter, but he doesn't chase very often. 68 walks for Bautista this season. Cueto just takes that ball off the end of the bat with that late movement. He wasn't really satisfied with that pitch, but he got the desired results. There's what you're talking about. He knows his body. He's got body awareness. He knows that he didn't finish that pitch like he wanted to.
Right now he's trying to figure out what he wants to do right here with 2 strikes on Bautista.
Give him a fastball, not close. Encarnacion singled and scored his last time up. He started off the 4th with a drive to the base of the wall in right. Full count. Donaldson will be off on the pitch. There he goes. Bautista strikes out. Cueto took something off. Another soft pitch to Bautista that ends the inning. We'll go to the 6th. It's a 3-3 ball game, and here comes the Home Hardware cleanup crew. Brought to you by Natura. Home Hardware's exclusive line of safe, environmentally friendly cleaning products.
Let's go!
Big, comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are special guests of TD tonight. While over in the Jays Care Community Clubhouse, we welcome guests from Beep Baseball. Hope everyone's enjoying the game on a picture-perfect night for baseball. Buck?
It sure is a great night for baseball. We got a whale of a game going. Look at the line score, exactly even. 3-6-0, 3-6-0. Kansas City has stranded 2 base runners. The Blue Jays have left 3 on. Johnny Cueto and Drew Hutchison even at 3 apiece. Lorenzo Cain, the number 3 batter. This Royals lineup, they grew into some swagger last year in the postseason. Remember, they were down 4 runs to the Oakland A's in the wild card game. Josh Donaldson's Oakland A's.
Yes, late.
Bouncing ball up the middle. Goins will have to hurry. Not in time. Lorenzo Cain can fly, and Goins got to it, but the momentum of that baseball took him to the outfield, and John Gibbons has the left-hander Eric Hosmer at the plate. Drew Hutchison gives up a leadoff single here in the 6th, and that's going to end his night. Second hit for Cain. And Drew Hutchison will give way to the left-hander Aaron Loup. Hutchison can't win it. He can lose it. The runner at first is his responsibility. Hosmer has walked and singled. Now he'll get a different look. The left-hander in to face Eric Hosmer. Drew Hutchison out of the game after giving up the leadoff infield single to Lorenzo Cain. Aaron Loup is into the game. He was the losing pitcher the last time he pitched on Sunday in Seattle.
His job right now is get the left-handers right here. There is Aaron's working 45 games, 2-5 with a 5.19 earned run average. He got beat on a fastball his last time out.
This is a tapper up the third baseline. Donaldson throws it past Smoke down the right field line. Cain's going to come in to score. Hosmer's headed for third, and he'll get there without a throw. Donaldson's throw was inside the bag over Smoke's head, and it'll be an error on Donaldson, his 14th. It's a base hit, a swinging base hit for Hosmer, and his throw airmails everybody over at first.
Might have been better off just to hold that one. Nothing you can do about that right there. Loup throws a good pitch, a fastball, shatters the bat of Hosmer, and he just places it perfectly down the line. Even a good throw is not going to get Hosmer. Cain's going to come all the way from first base to score, and Hosmer's going to end up at third base. So Aaron Loup is now out of the ballgame after one pitch, and Bo Schultz is going to take over here in the sixth.
A check swing tapper up the third base line, and Loup made a pretty good pitch on Hosmer. Now Kendrys Morales will go back and get his left-handed hitting helmet as the right-hander Bo Schultz is into the game to face Morales. Kansas City has taken a 4-3 lead. Game 14 for his last 28. He has 2 hits and a walk tonight. And now the new pitcher is Bo Schultz. He, like Luke, pitched in that final game in Seattle. He gave up a 2-run home run to Nelson Cruz late in that game.
He then followed that up with a 1-2-3 inning a couple of days ago against Philadelphia, and he's going to have to work out of a jam here.
There's a deep fly ball to left. Carrera is back. He's got room. He makes the catch. Hosmer tags at third, and he will jog in with the second run of the inning. It's a 5-3 Royals lead. Kendrys Morales is an RBI machine.
Yeah, when you get those opportunities, you got to take advantage of it. He's such a good hitter. He can handle tough pitches. He can handle the fastball, everything. And he cashes in the second run of the inning with that long fly ball.
So now Ben Zobrist, the switch hitting left fielder, is Zobrist had a 2-run single his first time up. This is where you run into problems facing the Kansas City Royals. They get the lead in the 6th, 7th, or 8th. They've got a lockdown bullpen.
Lots of big arms that they can come in and shut you down. So you're right. You got to get that lead early against Kansas City.
There's the bullpen. Morales, the lone left-hander. Wade Davis has been ridiculous. Herrera pitched last night. Hochevar, Holland, Madsen, and Chris Medlin, and they've got Young penciled in that bullpen tonight as well. Hot shot, nice play by Goins. Takes it on the one hop and turns it into an out. 2 down now.
Make your renovation a cut above during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Beautiful evening here on this Friday night. Game 2 of a 4-game series against the Kansas City Royals. Catcher Salvador Perez goes after the first pitch. Perez singled to left to start the second, but he was stranded at first base. Nasty slider, and it's 0-2.
Bo can give you more than 1 inning out of the bullpen. I think that's what's going to make him valuable in these situations here. Give you 2 innings in the middle of a ball game.
He's able to get 3 outs. That closes out the 6th. Kansas City takes a 2-run lead, 5-3. Encarnacion, Smoke, and Martin trying to erase that deficit.
On television and radio, and for daily coverage, headlines, analysis, and schedule, visit sportsnet.ca/Blue Jays or join the conversation at Sportsnet.
Well, the Blue Jays find themselves trailing once again. They were behind by 3 after the top half of the first. They are down by 2 here as they're set to bat in the 6th. Another nice crowd on hand. 29,389 for this Friday night game. Saturday, of course, always a big crowd. Junior Jays Saturday. Johnny Cueto has the lead again. The win in Encarnacion. Just inside the line down the left field corner. Encarnacion is swinging the bat. Second hit of the night. This a leadoff double. Trying to answer the Royals.
Been bothered by a finger problem the last couple of days, so he was out of the lineup and now back in it. Pulls his hands in and pulls that ball down the left field line for extra bases. Usually he's got to go back to work. And this is a good start right here. Encarnacion rips that ball to left field.
Edwin led off the 4th with a long single to the base of the wall in right. Came around to score. He scored from second on the Kevin Pillar 2-out single. Dustin Smoke has struck out twice against Cueto tonight. Felt like that ball was inside.
He has baffled him with a lot of pitches in and up.
Looked like the same pitch. It's a ball and a strike. Got to have a productive at bat here. Smoke's been clutch this season, batting over 300.
There's that elevated pitch that he has got him with. Struck him out twice with a couple of high fastballs. And when you talk about productive at bat, at the least, pull the ball.
Cueto strikes him out for a third time. 7 strikeouts for the Royals right-hander. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Russell Martin trying to extend a 4-game hit streak. There's a good rip at that outside pitch. Way off the plate, 2-1.
I'll tell you one thing that the Blue Jays have done. They've really made Johnny Cueto work tonight. I mean, he's not cruising at all. He's given up 7 hits and 3 runs, but they have made him work.
So 98 pitches, working with 1 out here in the 6th. Two balls and a strike to the Blue Jays catcher. LaTroy Hawkins loosening up for the Blue Jays. Way outside, full count.
Last time out, Johnny Cueto pitched against the Colorado Rockies and Troy Tulowitzki. He's at 100 pitches. He threw 100 pitches in that game. 8 innings, shutout innings. I think that's the difference between the American League and the National League.
Martin takes a wide one. Second walk issued by Cueto. It comes with 1 out here in the 6th. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Teixeira with those 4 ribbies has tied Donaldson and Morales with 71 on the season. Boy, what a bounce back season Teixeira has had. That's his 27th home run. Ezequiel Carrera is 2 for 2 tonight. He says, who is this guy with the long hair?
I'm not sure. I'm familiar with this guy.
No, I've never faced him, but it's no big deal. Carrera was the first Blue Jay to reach. Had a leadoff bunt in the 3rd. Encarnacion at second, Martin at first.
Might pitch him a little bit tougher now that he's 2 for 2.
Ryan Madson, big right-hander, begins to loosen up for Kansas City. Madson, a 169 earned run average in 44 games. 0-2. Carrera's got a battle. Bounced in the dirt. Good block by Perez. He's a big man.
Yes.
6'3", 245, and he moves around like a cat behind the plate.
And he's thick. Look how small his catcher's glove looks on his hand. Big guy. And
it's a small glove. When you're a good catcher, you like to have a small glove so you can really get that baseball quickly out of your glove. He's got great hands, obviously. He's a two-time Gold Glover. 1-2 to Carrera. Blue Jays trying to rally here in the 6th. Ground ball, Hosmer. He goes to second for one. The return throw not in time. Carrera hustles down the line to keep the inning alive. Hosmer forces Russell Martin at second. That's all they'll give. Carrera's aboard for a third time.
Good fielding team. Hosmer to second. I didn't think they had a chance over there. Carrera just runs too well. Didn't think they would take a chance on throwing the ball around like that, but they cannot finish the double play. Keeps the inning alive. Making that point about the American League versus the National League. Cueto took 100 pitches, throw 8 shutout innings. Last time you got the DH here in the American League, so it's a little bit tougher to get through these lineups.
Well, you got the pitcher every 3 innings. You got the pitcher's spot, so you either face the pitcher or a pinch hitter. Then traditionally the 8 hitters in the National League, not that tough. So it is a challenge for National Leaguers to work against an American League lineup.
That's not suggesting that Cueto can't do it, because
he's done it very well.
Yeah, he's really good. It's just a little bit tougher.
Kevin Pillar had a 2-out RBI single back in the 4th. Alex Rios is really shallow in right, and he's shaded a bit toward the line. There is a big gap in right center. And they continue to work Pillar away.
Kane's shallow in center field also. They don't think Pillar is going to get the ball over the head of the outfielders against Johnny Cueto. He's got 7 home runs.
He has 39 RBIs now with the ribby back in the 4th. That's off the plate. Boy, that's a tough strike for Pillar. He's working the count. Now Angel Hernandez is going to tell him, hey, you get in the box, and that's not right. That ball was off the plate, and Pillar knows they're working him away.
Slider. Watch this one. It's off the plate.
2-2, 2 outs. Pillar had to protect that outside corner, pops it up. Infante backpedals into the outfield, and the Blue Jays will strand a pair. Blue Jays will go to the 7th. They're down by 2, 5-3. Kansas City. Pillar and Hernandez having a conversation about strike 2.
November 15th to 20th in Dunedin, Florida. Robbie Alomar, George Bell, Jesse Barfield, and many more for the ultimate Major League experience. Now, the package includes airfare, hotel, meals, uniform, and 4 days of baseball. Spots are limited, so check out bluejays.com/fantasycamp.
You better sign up early. That fantasy camp is going to fill up very quickly. It's been a long time since the Blue Jays have had a fantasy camp, and it's always a good opportunity for baseball fans to go down there and run around the bases and play some baseball.
Yeah, you'll appreciate the game of baseball and what these guys do night in and night out at the Major League level after you come down to fantasy camp.
Alex Rios, the former Blue Jay, he's flied out twice to right field. You're a veteran of fantasy camps, and isn't it interesting when the campers will see a 65-mile-an-hour fastball that can't come close to handling it? And when you hear him talk, say, oh, I could hit 90.
65. I was going to say 45. They can't come close to hitting it. Just kidding.
That's a real revelation when they get in there and they see that baseball coming in there. And they say, how fast is that? That must be 90. Oh, it's 70.
And going out there every day.
Yeah.
You feel it by the second or third day. You're very sore.
Yeah, on day 3 of a fantasy camp, you have to go around and get the guys out of bed because they can't do it on their own. 2-2 pitch to Rios downstairs. It's a full count. Bo Schultz came in with nobody out in the 6th, gave up a sacrifice fly to Morales, and then got Zobrist and Perez to end the inning. Number 9 hitter Infante is on deck. Foul ball. Johnny Cueto making his first start for the Royals, and Kansas City needed an ace despite the fact they have a comfortable lead in the Central. Pulled through the left side past Tulowitzki. Rios is aboard for the first time tonight. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. He's got another update for us. Montero was just recalled from AAA Tacoma to join the Mariners. He's playing first base. Came up with the Yankees as a catcher. Omar Infante. Not showing bunt, takes a strike.
Infante is one of those guys that you could play hit and run with if you want to. If you get ahead of him, though, that eliminates that possibility in my mind.
Rios can run, obviously. 7 for 7 in stolen base attempts this season. Not going here. Breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-2. Blue Jays bullpen has really pitched well lately. The addition of Schultz and his big arm. Liam Hendricks has pitched well. Sanchez back, and Osuna's been good all year long. On the ground, Donaldson will go to second for one. Return not in time for first base. Ball was off the end of the bat, not that sharply hit. One down.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Friday night crowd here at Rogers Center. Blue Jays won the game last night 5-2. They trail 5-3 here tonight. Second game of a 4-game series. Top of the order. That ball gets away from Martin. He's not sure where it is, and Infante will move up. That takes the Royals out of the double play situation.
Good teams take advantage of mistakes by the opposition. It's a pitch from Schultz, a breaking ball that's in the dirt. And somehow it slips right through Russell Martin. And then the runner Infante can move up. And you're right, any ground ball then had a chance to turn 2 on. Not anymore.
That'll be a wild pitch charged to both Schultz. Base hit up the middle. Infante's coming around third. Pilar's throw is cut off, and Escobar adds to the Royals' lead. They lead now by 3 for Escobar. That's his 36th RBI of the season, second hit of the night.
And they don't waste any time, do they? Cashing in that run at second base right after the wild pitch. Runner in scoring position. Escobar sends that ball back to the middle and sends his double play partner Infante home with the Royals' 6th run.
Right back up the middle, ground ball RBI single. Mike Moustakas 0 for 3 tonight. 0 for 7 in the series. Oh, and 2. And Tepera, he is throwing in the Blue Jays bullpen. Outside. Bo Schultz came into the ballgame in the 6th with a man at third and nobody out. Gave up a sac fly to Kendrys Morales and then got out of the inning. This inning he's given up a single to lead the inning. Got a fielder's choice, wild pitch, and then the RBI single. Two and 2 now to Moustakas, the third baseman.
You might send that runner right here. They got to make him stop. The runner over there at first base, Escobar, is just inching off.
Martin threw him out in the 5th. He has 7 steals. There's a bouncing ball. Smoke throws to second for 1. The return throw in plenty of time. Smoke made a good feed to Tulowitzki at second. Tulowitzki turned it quickly and they get out of the inning. Moustakas now 0 for 8 in the series. Good defense tonight for the Blue Jays. Now they got to get the bats going once again. They trail by 3.
first 20,000 fans who show up to Monday's game get that thing right there, a Russell Martin bobblehead. Monday, Blue Jays and the Twins. David Price's debut at Rogers Center. And the first 20,000 fans, Buck, get one of those babies.
Pretty good-looking bobblehead, and that'll take place on Monday as the Blue Jays will welcome in the Minnesota Twins' first of a 4-game series against the Twins. This is Ryan Madson. He comes on in relief of Johnny Cueto.
What a nice signing by the Kansas City Royals. Ryan Madson hasn't pitched for a couple of years, but he has come into this bullpen. He has fit in nicely in 44 games, 169 earned run average. He's only had 9 walks all season long. Both righties and lefties hitting under 200 against Madson. He's got the cutter, and he throws a lot of strikes with it. Just nice cutting action on that fastball.
Madson is 34 years old. Signed as a free agent in January. He began his career with the Philadelphia Phillies. Made it to the big leagues in 2003. He has had some seasons in which he has started. He had 17 starts in 2006. He did not pitch at all in 2012. He was with Cincinnati as they took a flyer on him.
He was injured and hasn't pitched, but he's come back with a vengeance this season.
Ryan Goins, the number 9 hitter, trying to reach here to start the inning. Goins has reached on a fielder's choice and struck out. Two and 1. Ground ball through the left side, base hit for Goins. He's been on base twice. So Goins starts the 7th of the base hit. Johnny Cueto in his first game with Kansas City throws 111 pitches. Scatters 7 hits over 6 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs, walked a couple and struck out 7. Now he's looking to be supported by a very good Royals bullpen.
That's all you need to do right there. If you're a Kansas City starter, get 6 innings, get the lead, and turn it over to that bullpen. Cueto's first start as a Royal.
Former teammates in Cincinnati reunited, Edison Volquez and Johnny Cueto. Troy Tulowitzki with a mighty cut. Bottom of the 7th, Blue Jays trying to rally for a second time tonight. Scored 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th to tie it at 3-3, but then coughed up the 2 runs in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. Tulowitzki into center field. That'll get down for a base hit. And past Kane all the way to the wall. Goins is going to come around to score. Tulowitzki will stop at second, and the Blue Jays get one back.
Kansas City, uncharacteristic for them. Booting it around a little bit in center field. Tulowitzki's going to get the base hit off of Madson, a little sinker on the inner half, and then Kane's going to get a little bit too close to this ball. It doesn't come up for him, gets by him. He'll be charged for an error, his 7th, and that allows Goins to score.
7 errors for Kane. Donaldson facing Madson, takes strike 1. And the crowd is into it in the 7th. Ball on the strike. This is where the Blue Jays got to get it done. 2, 3, 4 coming to the plate.
They have faced Madson already twice this season. He's pitched a total of 1 inning. He's given up 4 hits and 2 earned runs against the Blue Jays this year. That was back in Kansas City before the All-Star break.
Everybody on the top step, and there's David Price. He's in his first game with the Blue Jays. He's into every pitch. Donaldson. 2-2 count.
There's that little cutter right there that Matson has. He's also got a pretty good changeup that you have to be wary of.
Donaldson has not faced Matson. Remember, he was ill when they played in Kansas City right before the All-Star break. He was battling that intestinal virus and came out of one game and missed another.
Yeah, came out of the Saturday game and then missed the Sunday game completely.
Bautista is 0 for 3 so far tonight. Full count to Donaldson. He walked in the 5th. Base hit into center field. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Tulowitzki's around third. He's going to score. Donaldson will stop at second. Another big hit for Josh Donaldson.
Blue Jays gave up a run at the top of the inning, and the offense sends them right back. They've got 2 here in the bottom of the inning. Josh Donaldson stayed back on that breaking ball, 3-2, and rips it up the alley in right center field. Tulowitzki can jog in. Donaldson makes it to second base. Second double tonight. Blue Jays pull within 1.
Ryan Goins got it started. The number 9 hitter turned the lineup over. Jose Bautista with a chance to tie it up. For Donaldson, 3 more RBIs tonight. It's the 8th time he's had 3 or more ribbies in a game this season. Line drive, base hit to left field. Donaldson will stop at third. Bautista for a line drive single to left. 4 straight hits off Madsen since he came into the game.
And Herrera is just now getting up for Kansas City. That ball is hit so hard by Bautista that you are not going to send that runner from second base with nobody out. Look how he gets on top of that one and lines it into left field for a base hit. I think the boys aren't fired up. They're digging that. You know, last night I thought it was really odd that Herrera would pitch in the game last night, being down 5-2 in the 7th inning. This is usually where Herrera pitches the 7th inning. So when they had a chance to use him here, they had to go to Ryan Madsen, and now Ned Yost looks like he's going to go out and make the change now to bring in his 7th inning guy.
Herrera didn't have much time to get loose. This all happened very quickly. Single, single, double, single. Madsen has not retired a batter. Josh Donaldson with another big hit, an RBI double. Madsen is out of the game without recording an out. He's given up 2. Base runners are his responsibility. Kelvin Herrera. He throws 100. He'll face Encarnacion when we come back. 6-5 Kansas City.
finally get to see their lethal virus in action. Will it be enough? Find out in a new episode of The Strain, Sunday at 10 Eastern and Pacific, only on FX.
A lot going on here in the 7th inning. Ryan Madson did not record an out. Kelvin Herrera pitched in last night's game, and he didn't have much time to get loose. This all happened very quickly.
1-2-3 inning last night, but he's been hot. He's allowed just one earned run over his last 12 outings. And you're right, too low for the price of one.
And a World Series trophy. Nobody out. Runners at the corners. Edwin Encarnacion has singled and doubled. He scored a run in the 4th. Ryan Madson giving up 4 hits in this inning, and it's the second time he's given up 4 hits this season in an outing, both to the Blue Jays. Bouncing ball, foul outside of third. Well, you got to give credit to Ryan Goins, who got it started with a leadoff single. Slapped the ball through the left side of the infield, and that turned the lineup over and brought the big bats to the plate.
And they delivered against Madson. Now they got to get those runs across that are sitting out there. You got Encarnacion, Smoke, and Martin who up.
Way inside. Encarnacion is just 1 for 6 against Herrera. He throws hard, but that one hit left the ballpark.
Looks like he's trying to crowd him or trying to turn the ball over where Edwin hits a ground ball. Everything inside. There's another one.
99, but off the plate. David Price likes what he sees. Still nobody out. 2 runs in here in the bottom of the 7th. Ball 4. The bases are loaded. The Blue Jays lineup will wear you out.
You know, we've talked about that before in the past, that they've got great hitters, but they don't chase pitches. Herrera kept trying to pound inside against Encarnacion, and Edwin was not going to have any of it. So he will take the bases, or the walk, and load the bases.
Herrera works better when he comes in with nobody on. He's allowed 4 of 10 inherited base runners to score. He's inherited 2 this inning. Justin Smoke. Smoke has struck out 3 times tonight.
That was a changeup, and teams have been throwing a lot of changeup to Smoke. What you want to do right now, you don't want to strike out. You want some contact right here. Herrera's going to supply the power. You just make sure you get the bat head out and make contact.
.132 with the bases loaded. That's the number for Smoke. Ground ball. Could be 2. Infante to second for 1. Back to first. And Donaldson comes in to score. And the Blue Jays have tied it. Smoke grounds into the double play. But Donaldson comes across with the 6th Blue Jay run, 3rd run this inning, and it's once again tied. It's 6. Blue Jays showing a lot of character tonight. They were down 3-0 before they came to the plate in the bottom of the 1st.
And then they fell behind again late in the game against Kansas City. And they have battled back to tie it. We will probably see Aaron Sanchez now that the game is tied.
All you got to do is look up and down the bench, and you have to have the confidence that you can erase any deficit. Russell Martin. 0 for 2 with the walk tonight against Cueto.
.101.
He needs a little extra. Bouncing ball to short. Big hop for Escobar. The inning is over. But the Blue Jays score 3 runs on 4 hits, and they have tied the game up 6-6 as we head to the 8th. Johnny Cueto, a no decision in his first outing. Aaron Sanchez coming into the game for the Blue Jays.
Remain as the Blue Jays' everyday center fielder, John Gibbons told me, even when Ben Revere arrives. The Blue Jays are going to use their new acquisition from the Phillies in a platoon role hitting 9th. I asked Gibbons whether or not he'd consider moving Revere to center. He said no. Pilar has earned the job. He's going to remain in that spot. But they really like Revere's speed. They said they lost a little bit of that, Buck, when Jose Reyes ended up moving on to Colorado.
Arash, Ben Revere is second in stolen bases in all of baseball to Rajay Davis since 2011, last 5 seasons. He's a real speed merchant, and he will be added to this lineup. He has made 57 starts in left field. The career he's played in center, but he's not what you would call an upper echelon defensive center fielder, but he's a good corner outfielder. Aaron Sanchez makes his 15th appearance.
Sanchez pitched in last night's ball game. An inning, had a couple of strikeouts, got the hold when he pitched the 8th inning ahead of Roberto Osuna.
Sanchez faced Escobar, Moustakas, and Kane. He caught Kane looking at strike 3. That's who he's facing here to start the 8th. Bouncing ball. Tulowitzki takes a short hop, made it look easy. In between, hop, 1 down. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Adam Jones with a home run in that game, a 3-run homer. Manny Machado also, as Jamie mentioned, 22 from Machado.
How about this play from Tulowitzki? Loves a throw on the run. You know, he knew who was running, Kane. He could not lay back on that ball. He had to charge it and get it on the short hop. And keeps a good base runner off base.
Eric Hosmer, 2 more hits tonight. He's been on base 3 times. Bouncing ball. Tulowitzki, much easier play. He throws on the run again. 2 ground ball outs for Sanchez, and that's what that bowling ball sinker will do for you.
Get a lot of ground ball out, so you better play good inner defense. Blue Jays are doing that tonight. A couple of ground balls to the shortstop. Tulowitzki loves to throw on the run like this. We've seen it for a lot of years. He's accurate with it too.
He reminds me an awful lot of Nomar Garcia-Parra in that regard. 2 very athletic shortstops, and Garcia-Parra could throw from anywhere. Kendrys Morales has driven in 2 tonight, and an RBI single with 2 outs in the first and a sac fly in the 6th. Sanchez let that one get away. It's a ball on the strike. The Blue Jays have been fortified. 5 new players on this homestand. They're not all here yet. Mark Lowe is supposed to be flying to Toronto as we speak. Ben Revere probably be here tomorrow. David Price showed up about 5:40 this evening. Tulowitzki, he came here and played his first game on Wednesday. LaTroy Hawkins got here on Tuesday. Quite a turnover, 20% of your roster. High fly ball. Pilar calls for it, waits for it, and catches it. 3 up, 3 down. Easy inning for Sanchez. It's 6-6 as we head to the bottom of the 8th now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zorn.
Game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and much more. MLB.tv Premium includes a free at-bat 15 subscription. You can watch baseball at home, at the office, or on the go. Season-long subscription packages are available. Hit up BlueJays.com for more details.
Beautiful evening in Toronto, and it got a lot sweeter when the Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. They're tying it up at 6-6. Blue Jays have scratched and clawed back a couple of times tonight. They've out-hit Kansas City 11-10. You don't think this crowd understands what's happened this week?
I think they understand it in spades. The energy level in this ballpark the last couple of nights has been electric.
Ezequiel Carrera's had a good night. He reached base for the first time for the Blue Jays in the 3rd with a leadoff bunt. He had a single in the 4th that led to another run. He's had a nice game.
Ball players, they read the newspapers and hear the news too.
You know, there's a new outfielder coming to town, and the Blue Jays will have to find a place for Ben Revere. Herrera came in the ball game with nobody out. He walked Edwin Encarnacion, then got a double play and a ground out. The double play chased home a run. It was not a RBI at all. Then there's Mark Lowe. You don't want to wait around too long when you got a chance to gain ground in the standings. He's coming from Seattle. His third of the night. Another leadoff base hit, bottom of the order. Boy, they've done a good job. Carrera's been on base 4 times. Pilar's been on base twice, and Goins been on base twice.
You know, that last pitch was on the outside corner. It was called a strike, and I think that alerted Carrera, saying, you know what, he might go back out there. So he just sticks his bat out there, and hits a soft liner to left field. That's a good 2-strike approach.
Good start to the inning, Kevin Pillar. He's had a couple of hits, had an RBI base hit in the 4th. Shows bunt and bunts it up the first base line. Hosmer looks at second, and Pillar, a terrific bunt, moves Carrera to second.
Boy, that was executed perfectly by Pillar. Watch how he gets the bat out. Punts the ball to the right side of the infield. Hosmer, who is holding the runner on, comes in, had thoughts about maybe getting that runner at second base, but wisely gets the out at first base. A nice sacrifice bunt by Kevin Pillar.
There is not an at-bat or a hard slide or a good defensive play that gets overlooked by this team. Pillar, remember the big slide he had in the 3rd inning to stay out of a double play. He broke up a double play, and that led to that 2-run 3rd inning. Now he moves the runner with the bunt. Go ahead run in scoring position. Carrera's anxious to get a good lead at second, but he better not stray too far. Sal Perez will throw behind the runner. He's got a terrific arm and a quick release.
Second baseman is playing deep, and so it's the shortstop, Escobar. You see him getting right in behind Carrera, the runner at the bag. I don't know. Goins singled the left field last time.
He's vacating that hole at shortstop by shadowing the base runner. Goins, that leadoff single off Ryan Madson in the 7th. He came around to score the 4th Blue Jay run. Pulls it on the ground. Hosmer will toss to Herrera. Goins grounds out. So now, with 2 outs, Carrera at third, Troy Tulowitzki, who ripped a line drive single into center in the 7th. Lorenzo Cain made an error on it that enabled Goins to score all the way from first, and that started the 3-run 7th inning. Didn't take long for the fans to get into the Tulowitzki spirit of things.
Not when you make a splash like he did the other night. 3 extra base hits.
little looper to the second baseman. That will end the 8th inning. The Blue Jays get a runner to third, but he is stranded. We'll go to the 9th. It's a 6-6 game.
We will have his introductory press conference immediately following tonight's game on Sportsnet Central. He had a hiccup getting to the city after he had a flat tire, but he's now here. He's a Blue Jay, and we will hear from him, Buck, immediately following this game.
It'd be great to hear his thoughts about coming to a new team and watching his team battle back from a couple of big deficits in this game. Roberto Osuna is into the game. He'll face Ben Zobrist, Sal Perez, and Alex Rios here in the 9th in this 6-6 game.
Picked up his 6th save in last night's game. He had a very clean inning that 9th inning, 1-2-3 inning, three ground ball outs in the middle of the lineup for Kansas City.
Ben Zobrist pops up the ball to left field. Carrera over near the line makes the catch. 1 up, 1 down on 1 pitch. Okay, there's a lot of critics that watch games and break things down. Sanchez threw 8 pitches in the 8th, retired the side in order. Why would you bring Osuna in this situation and not run Sanchez back out there?
Well, one of the reasons I think what John Gibbons is thinking, if I can get an inning out of Osuna here in the top of the inning, look who's coming up for me. I'll take my chances with Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion for a chance to win it in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Oftentimes, it's not about where you are in the opponent's lineup. It's about where you are in your own lineup, especially at home. That's a great point. This is Sal Perez, the catcher. He waves at that slider. That's a pitch that's getting better each time Osuna pitches.
Yeah, that time it was a late breaker. Looked like a fastball, and Sal Perez, he is swinging when he's on the on-deck circle, even before he gets into the batter's box.
0-2.
So you got to use that slider.
4 pitches, 2 outs for Osuna.
Sanchez threw 8 to get through the 8th, and now Osuna has thrown 4 to get 2 quick outs. You can see Perez is looking for that fastball.
Alex Rios single to start the 7th.
He's got one thing on his mind, doesn't he?
Leaving. He wants to hit one out.
Do something dramatic against your former team. Late in a ball game, you could just see him on that pitch, 1-0 pitch. He was guessing fastball. He just opened up that front shoulder a little bit too early.
The big right-hander is Bill Kochaver, and the closer Greg Hallen is with him. There's a high fly ball into shallow center field. Pilar waves his arm indicating he's got it. 8 pitches for Osuna. He retires the side in order. Now over to the hitters. Josh Donaldson will lead things off against Luke Hochevar. Then Bautista and in Carter's shown. A 6-6 game, bottom of the ninth. The 2015 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 17 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
7th inning, runner at second base, Josh Donaldson at the plate, and he drives the ball to right center field. He will end up at second base with his second double of the night. He would drive home Troy Tulowitzki. He would come around to score the tying run for the Blue Jays in that inning. Josh Donaldson's drive into the gap in right center field is our drive of the game.
Blue Jay fans anxious for a win here in the ninth. The Blue Jays have had 4 walk-off wins this season. Donaldson has a pair of walk-off home runs. New pitcher is the big right-hander, Luke Hochevar.
Blue Jays saw him one time in that series out in Kansas City. He threw 1 inning, had a couple of walks. It was a long inning. There are his numbers this season. He also had a strikeout on the first-round draft picks. Got a good fastball and a good curveball.
Off the end of the bat, up the middle. Infante was shaded in that direction, and he throws Donaldson out. Jose Bautista singled his last time up. Off the end of the bat, another cutter. Ground ball to short. 2 down.
You know, this bullpen is not just Herrera and Davis and Holland. They've got a lot of good pieces out there. Hochevar used to be a starter. He was out all of last season after Tommy John surgery. Got off to a rough start this season. He gave up 8 earned runs in his first 12 appearances, but he has been a lot better lately. He had 13 straight scoreless outings snapped the last time he was on the mound. That was on Wednesday.
2 outs for Edwin Encarnacion. He's had a 2-hit night, 2 for 3 with a walk. Edwin has a walk-off home run this season. The Blue Jays have erased 2 3-run deficits tonight. They were down 3-0 before they ever came to the plate. And then they were down 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Tied it up.
Now 6-3, and this offense, I think they're never out of it.
Right side of the infield. Hosmer, the first baseman, makes the catch. Hochevar with a clean inning in the ninth. That'll send us to extra innings. It's a 6-6 game.
You can get the Rogers Internet 30 and basic TV bundle for $62.97 a month. That's good for the first 3 months. Find out how by calling 1-888-ROGERS-1.
We head to extra innings here in Game 2 of this 4-game series against Kansas City. The Blue Jays will send Brett Cecil to the mound to start the 10th.
There are the numbers for Brett. Brett pitched to one batter yesterday. That was Eric Hosmer. He got a ground out to Hosmer. He will face 9-1-2 here in the 10th inning. Good fastball, good curveball.
First pitch right to Donaldson. Infante grounds out to third. With one out now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Jackie Redmond and Ken Reed. Coming up right after this ball game, so make sure you stay tuned, and you'll also have a chance to hear the David Price press conference. Top of the order, Alcides Escobar is 2 for 4 tonight with an RBI. Escobar drove in the 6th run for the Royals in the 7th with a single to center. Top of the 10th inning. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Kansas City in extra innings this season 6-1. The Blue Jays are 3-5. Ned Yost has a real good bullpen, and that serves him well in extra innings.
That's what it's all about. You get into these extra innings like that, you got a deep bullpen, give your offense a chance to come back and win it. There's the closer for the Royals. That's Greg Holland.
Ground ball going to his right. Two ground ball outs for Cecil here in the 10th. Red wants a new baseball to work to Moustakas. Mike Moustakas has had a rough start to this series. He's 0 for 8 so far. Breaking ball up and in. Two and 0 to Moustakas. Now 3-0. Lorenzo Cain is on deck. Hosmer is in the hole. Cecil delivers a 3-0 strike. I don't want to see Lorenzo Cain hitting with 2 outs again.
No, we've seen enough of him. He's the best hitter in the American League with 2 outs, hitting almost 400.
Perfect. Right to going. 3 up, 3 down for Cecil in the 10th. Justin Smoke ran it into a double play his last time up, but that chased home the tying run. Russell Martin hitless in 3 at-bats. Then Ezequiel Carrera. He's had a 3-hit game. They'll face Luke Hochshaber. Bottom of the 10th. Tenth 6-6 ball game. Blue Jays trying to go up 2-0 over Kansas City. It'll be Smoke, Martin, and Carrera. Luke Hochshaber retired to side in order in the 9th. Curveball misses down and in.
Teams have been throwing Smoke early in the count. A lot of off-speed stuff. Knowing that he's looking for the fastball, he could end the game with 1 swing.
Smoke has a home run against Hochshaber. And that's what he's looking for right now. Something out over the plate that he can drive. He is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He hit into the double play, but chased home the tying run in the 7th. The Blue Jays only have 3 bench players tonight. Ben Revere will more than likely show up tomorrow, but they chose to keep the extra relief pitcher. 3-0 to Smoke. Didn't have to be.
As a hitter, that's where you say, okay, does it go any lower than that? Is that as low as you will go? And it looks like it's right at the bottom now.
Popped it up. Moustakas over in the shortstop position makes the catch. The Blue Jays have not hit a home run tonight. They have homered in 12 straight games since the All-Star break, a total of 20 home runs in that period. The 20 home runs, the 3rd highest total in the major league. Seattle and New York both have hit 21 going into play tonight. Russell Martin. Russell's 0 for 3 with a walk.
A lot of times you get into these games and people want to win it with a dramatic home run, and the thought pattern should be, let me have a good at bat here, and if I happen to hit a home run, okay. You know, you go up there and you start swinging for the home run, the swing gets a little bit longer, you start opening up just a little bit quicker. Home runs are a byproduct of a good at bat.
Navarro, Colabello, and Valencia, the 3 extra men on the bench. 0-2. Way outside's the setup. Martin reaches for it, pokes it into the left. That's going to drop. Base hit for Russell Martin on an 0-2 pitch. He stayed on that breaking ball and flares it into left.
He's also the winning run, so the outfield has to play very deep. They don't want anything over their heads, so a ball like this, little cutter, Russell gets enough of it, and Zobrist was deep, protecting against doubles, and that's how that ball fell in left field.
Ezequiel Carrera has had a big night at the plate. 3 for 4. Been on base all 4 times. Carrera has never had a 4-hit game.
Well, now is the time to do it right here.
He's had 6 3-hit games, including tonight. Ball on the strike. Martin, the winning run at first. Breaking ball and a good one.
Yeah, he's got a good one. Good breaking ball. Curveball. He'll cut that ball. He's got a fastball. He was the #1 player chosen the year he was drafted. First round, first player.
1-1, just like David Price. They both came out of college in Tennessee. Price at Vanderbilt, Hochevar at Tennessee. Chases that high fastball. 2 down.
Just trying to get a piece of it. That's where the pitch was his last time up, with 2 strikes, and he just poked it into left field for a base hit.
Blue Jays have struck out 8 times tonight. Kevin Pillar, he's had 2 hits in 3 at-bats and a sacrifice bunt. You're right, we've seen a lot of big swings this inning. Blue Jay hitters thinking about ending it with 1 swing of the bat.
Don't have to hit it out. That would be nice, but Line drive in the gap would do the trick too. Ball goes all the way to the wall.
They have given Pilar a steady diet of pitches away. A lot of breaking balls, a lot of cutters away. Ball is hit to right. Rios will move to his right and make the catch. The Blue Jays get a base runner in the bottom of the 10th, but leave him on base. We'll go to the 11th. 6-6 ball game. Liam Hendricks will come out of the Blue Jays bullpen when we come back. Kane, Hosmer, and Morales.
Sportsnet's MLB Live Tracker gives you play-by-play updates, batter, hit zone charts, and real-time win percentage live during every big league game. Access the MLB Live Tracker by clicking on any baseball game matchup on sportsnet.ca/MLB Live Tracker or through the SN app during the game.
We move to the 11th, and the new pitcher will be the right-hander Liam Hendricks. The Blue Jays have used Loop, Schultz, Sanchez, Osuna, Cecil, and now Hendricks out of their bullpen.
They are carrying 8 relievers tonight. This is the 6th one. Liam Hendricks in 34 games, 2-0 with a 264 earned run average. He's the long man out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays right now, so he can throw multiple innings.
The Blue Jays bullpen has retired 10 straight Royals. Started with Bo Schultz getting a double play to end the 7th off the bat of Mike Moustakas. Lorenzo Cain with a mighty cut. Cain's 2 for 4 tonight. He scored a pair of runs, has a stolen base to his credit. Hendricks draws the meat of the order here in the 11th. Cain, Hosmer, and Morales. Off the end of the bat. Hendricks retires Cain with a soft toss to first. Boy, Liam has really stepped it up this year. Been a big part of the success of this bullpen.
He probably looks different to the Kansas City Royals. He was playing for the Royals. Then he was a starter. And he wasn't throwing as hard as he is now. Went to winter ball, found that fastball, said, you know what, I'm just going to air it out. Just let it go. And he could do that coming out of the bullpen. Kansas City might not know who he is the way he's throwing now.
Curveball outside to Hosmer. Hosmer has been on base 3 more times tonight. He is 2 for 3, and he's extended his hit streak to 13 straight games. Hendricks is pitching with total confidence. You can see it how he gets the ball, toes the rubber, and looks in for a sign. And he's got a lot of confidence. He can throw any of his pitches for strength.
He's always been a strike thrower. Fastball, slider. That's the pitch right there that has been good for him this year.
I'd go right back to it. 96 with the fastball. See if you can't tie up Hosmer. He loves to extend his arms, and he's got great plate coverage away. Breaking ball, hot shot, no problem for Smoke. 2 up, 2 down for Hendricks. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 11th, the number 9 batter Ryan Goins. Then Tulowitzki and Donaldson. Goins has had a good night at the plate. 1 for 4, but he scored a pair of runs. Tulowitzki has scored a run and singled. Donaldson's had a big night, 3 RBIs. Kendrys Morales has driven in a pair tonight. He had a first inning single RBI and then a sac fly in the 6th off Bo Schultz. Sanchez got him to fly out to center field. Perfect pitch. The left-hander on the left side of your screen is Franklin Morales, the closer. Greg Holland is also up.
It's got to be tough for a closer on the road. I think Holland's been up for 3 innings. Just to stand around, just to keep that arm loose. If they take the lead, he's in the game. If they don't, they're going to bring in Morales.
Liam Hendricks gets Kane, Hosmer, and strikes out Morales. The Blue Jays bullpen has retired 13 straight. Hendricks with a 3 up, 3 down inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 11th. It'll be Goins, Tulowitzki, and Donaldson in this 6-6 game.
The Royals and the Blue Jays for a matinee. Mark Burley takes the bump for the Jays. Got you started with Jays Central at 12:30, and then first pitch, as always, at 1:07. Buck.
Giordano Ventura, the hard-throwing right-hander, will oppose Mark Burley. Franklin Morales into the ball game, making his 44th appearance.
How about
he has thrown the ball well this year.
Look at those numbers for Morales. The only lefty that the Kansas City Royals have in their bullpen. He's 3-0 with a 208 earned run average. He's thrown 43 innings already. Has better splits against right-handed batters. He's got a good fastball and a very sharp breaking ball.
Ryan Goins has earned the right to stay in this game. Leading off, he's reached twice tonight. Goins had a leadoff single against Ryan Madsen, and that keyed the big 3-run 7th inning. That's when the Blue Jays tied it up at 6-6. Bottom of the 11th. Well, once again, the Blue Jays bullpen has been great. They have retired 13 straight.
It's underrated. It's been underrated since the All-Star break.
Liam Hendricks retired the side in order. Same for Sanchez, Osuna, and Cecil. Good rip by Goins. Goins coming into this game a .209 average against lefty pitching. The Blue Jays as a team, best hitting ball club against lefty pitching in baseball. They can swing it. 2-2 pitch to Goins. Caught looking at strike 3, 1 out.
Well, they'll get the chance now because here come the right-handers for the Blue Jays. Morales slips that fastball. Looked like more of a cutter. That time framed nicely by Perez for the first down. And now he's got to deal with the righties. And we showed you in his numbers, he's actually pitched better against right-handers this year than left-handers.
Troy Tulowitzki 1 for 5 tonight. Tulowitzki and Morales were teammates in Colorado. Morales started some games for the Rockies. Base hit for Tulowitzki. Kane was playing no doubles defense, so he gets over and cuts it off to keep Tulowitzki to a single.
Get on top of that high fastball. It's up. Tulowitzki keeps the barrel above the ball. You can see how that ball is underneath the bat. That's how you have to stay on top of it. High pitch, use your hands, get on top of it and rip it into left field for a hit.
Josh Donaldson has 16 home runs here at Rogers Center. 16 of his 25. Seven of those 25 home runs have come against lefty pitchers. Boy, he's got a good eye.
Yeah, and he's zeroing in right now. He is looking for one pitch in one spot.
First time Donaldson has faced Franklin Morales. Right on the outside corner.
And that wasn't the pitch. 2-0 pitch. He was looking for the fastball. He got it. He was looking for it on the inside part of the plate. He didn't get it, so just take it.
What discipline. 3-1 now. 1 out. Tulowitzki at first base. His second hit of the night.
He has come up with so many big hits for the Blue Jays this year, especially late in a ball game.
Boy, they're working him upstairs.
Fans thought that one was up. Donaldson setting his sights down, but it's there.
That fan didn't like the call. Full count, 1 out. He called him for a balk. Angel Hernandez called Morales for a balk. He motioned it. Morales stepped toward home and threw to first. Tulowitzki doesn't have a stolen base attempt all year long.
And he was about 1.5 feet off the base. I think Morales was thrown over there, just a little token throw. You can see he's not far off the base. And you're right, it looked like he might have been having that momentum come towards home, and he's called for a balk.
Donaldson now with the winning run at second. 3-2, 1 out.
Are enjoying this. Troy Tulowitzki, David Price, right in the middle of that celebration with Josh Donaldson after the game winner. Josh Donaldson has come up with so many hits for the Blue Jays, big hits late in the game. If it's a home run against David Robertson or a single right here for Morales, he has done a lot for the Blue Jays this year.
His second 4 RBI game of the season, and he walks off the Kansas City Royals, and they came back against the toughest bullpen in the American League. Blue Jays showing a lot of character. And how about the effort of the Blue Jays bullpen? They retired 13 straight to give the Blue Jays this opportunity.
And they were the ones who shut down a very good hitting team, the Kansas City Royals, giving the Blue Jays a chance. Tulowitzki is blocked to second base, and he can jog home with the game winner. Josh Donaldson does it again. And look who ends up coming out of the dugout first. David Price over the railing. The newest Blue Jay.
What a big win for the Blue Jays. Twice they were down by 3 runs. Tulowitzki with the 1-out single comes in to score the winning run, and the Blue Jays are up into celebration here in the 11th. They have taken the first 2 games against Kansas City. They move to 2 games over 500. Let's check in with Arash Madani.
Josh, over and over tonight, this team trailed, and there was always an answer.
Heads up.
We said before we began, the walk-offs never get old. Does this?
No, I mean, hey, this is the time of the year right now where we got to start winning games. And, we showed up tonight, and, we were able to win the game tonight.
Josh, there's always been an answer, it seems, from this team in clutch situations. What is it about the makeup of this team, and where does that come from?
Well, we got a bunch of bangers in this lineup. We got guys that can swing the bat, so anybody that steps in the plate can win the game for us at any night.
Let's go back to the 7th inning, the 3-run 7th inning. You're at bat at 2-1. You took a big cut. It was a 2-2 count where you were finally able to find that space in right center. What happened in that at bat, especially on that 2-2 pitch?
Well, I mean, he was throwing me some sinkers and he was throwing me some cutters. And, I'd swung, he threw me 1 strike for a cutter with a cutter, and I swung through the cutter, so I figured my best bet was probably going to get that cutter again, 3-2, and he did, and it just kind of spun on the middle of the plate, and I was able to find the barrel and hit it in the right center.
Did the approach change after the balk and extras?
Yeah, I mean, with that balk right there, now I can focus on just getting a base hit and win the game right there instead of having to kind of drive a ball maybe.
It was right around game time. David Price arrived in the dugout. He was one of your top cheerleaders tonight. To actually see him here, is it all now sinking in exactly what's happened this week?
I don't know if it'll sink in until he gets out on the field because, I mean, he's a great pitcher, a great teammate, too. I think you saw that tonight. And, we're going on the right track right now. And, we're trying to send a message right now that we're for real.
Josh, with your walk-off, the Jays are now 4-5 in extra innings this season. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great job by the Blue Jays as they were able to come back twice from 3-run deficits. Josh Donaldson, his third walk-off hit of the season, 3 for 5 in the ballgame, 4 RBIs. Liam Hendricks is the winner. 2 in a row against Kansas City. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Ken Reed.